Just before we get to the debate on the main motion, I'd ask my colleagues if particularly we're talking about the outside agencies, the public library, that page listed on there is part of the city, and obviously everyone knows I'm part of the Holly City project, and while there's money reduced for some of those projects, I would ask Council to vote on those separately, and of course I will abstain from voting on that issue. So, having said that, I think budget process, although it was a lengthy one, I think it was a positive one. In this day and age, to say to the citizens of Cornwall, who we are responsible for, and who put us in these seats anyway, to say that we're going to have a tax increase to you as a taxpayer of some 1% without reducing any services. You get the same services as you had before. I think that's quite an achievement in this day and age, and I have no problems in moving this motion.
Mr. Fitzpatrick. Just for clarification purposes, the recommendation that's in the report and Council's agenda is for a 1.31 increase, so that would be an amendment for an increase of 0.97%. The clerk is shaking me off. So if the motion could be strictly not the recommendation of the report,
that's correct.
That could be 0.97%.
That's correct. This is just a recommendation, so my understanding is right. Councilor Carr did pass the motion that the General Manager of Finance indicated at 0.97%.
Well, if we have a choice, I'll go with the 0.97.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a clarification point, Mr. Mayor. When we talk about the dollars that we put back in for land acquisition, what amount is that part of that $505,000?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, that is
the amount of
the $250,000 is part of the business park development project. That is included in the $505,000.
I'm not sure if we're hearing what's out there. I mean, we've been told by the business community that's indicating the fragile economy and the struggle businesses are having to stay in keep their business viable. I think that the residents out there, and I hear it every day, that they're struggling to make ends meet. And I think all we have to do is look around and some of the areas and the Gaffney Center and some of these other areas, there's an increase in call for service. Personally, myself, I think that, do I think a zero increase this year is attainable? I'd say yes. And I'd say that with being very comfortable that that would be without cutting services, without cutting existing jobs. And I think that it's important that, I feel the Budget Committee should go back and look at get back down to zero. And I think there's areas out there. One is this $250,000 for land acquisitions. I don't see anybody knocking down doors here to want to buy something. I don't think it's this year that you have to worry about it. I think we have to look at maybe get it out of the reserves, and when it comes back, when it's sold, put it back in reserves, as the Councilor O'Shaughnessy talked earlier. I think that's a place where we could cut and then put that money back in towards the taxpayers' reduction and for the zero. I think there's there's Benson Center calling for four or five jobs. I believe there's people at the complex who could fill those jobs and work very well doing that. I think we're throwing all our eggs in a basket here, not knowing full well what the kind of services and what kind of needs we're going to have there. I think that can come back to us later. I think that right now these people could go over there, do it very, very well, because I know they do very well with the technology today. There's no reason why you have to be you can't cross 5 streets down the road to go and deliver a service. I think it also this year is a year that a tax increase is not needed, and that's because of all concerns that I brought forward before. I think the only way I will support the 2011 budget is if presented with a zero increase.
Councilor Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know being on the Budget Steering Committee for the past 4 years, it's not an easy task, especially when there are job losses in the community. But we went through the years of the Domtar loss, and we worked around that, and we reduced the amount of taxation per year, each year. And my main concern is is the deferred capital. In my maintenance background, I always think about the amount of capital we're deferring till next year. And I would like to, how much capital are we actually deferring till 2012 or further on?
Well, we cut, if I go back to the one slide through this process, we cut, if you look at page, on page 21 of your presentation, it will show you that we cut $859,000 out of capital. Prior to meeting with the budget steering committee, there were other capital items that we did also reduce from the budget. There's a whole list. Some of the capital projects we've made small contributions for to defer to next year. So a generator for municipal works, for example, we've made a contribution to reserves this year to spread the cost over 2 years. Next year, we'll have half of that paid for, and we'll purchase the generator next year. There are some fairly significant projects we haven't put enough money aside for. Relocation of the snow dump is a fairly major project that has some importance to it in the very near future. So there's some of those types of projects. We have also cut back in areas of street lighting and day-to-day infrastructure, not day-to-day, but regular infrastructure changes that should be updated on an ongoing basis. So the big cut that we've made to reduce capital is a little over $800,000 in this budget.
Thank you. I guess the point in this exercise is that eventually we are going to have to tackle this, and by deferring capital, what we are basically doing is saying we'd like to reduce it today to appease, to get to a certain figure. Well, that figure is going to increase if we don't tackle the issues as they come along. That's going to increase. Who wants to pay taxes? I know I don't. I'm not Scotty's background. I don't want to give a penny to anybody. And but the reality is the city has to keep maintaining infrastructure. If they don't, it's going to come back to bite us in the butt. And I will support the 1%, which I think is the minimum right now that we can do. Are we looking for efficiencies in the city? Yes, we are. Every year since I've been on council, we've looked for efficiencies, and we've gotten efficiencies as we go along. And we're still working on it, and we will. But I think this is a good budget, and I commend the Budget Steering Committee for the